We are joined tonight by Joseph Gonzalez. Joseph is a digital sales associate at Paramount Advertising Sales, where he handles daily operations and placements of ads and primarily works with local Boston and political advertisers.
Yes.
He's an alum of the center, as everyone here is. Having attended the Diversity Summit, he spoke at the Stanton Awards ceremony. It was fantastic. I was there.
Thank you.
Honoring Joanne Ross a couple of years ago, and he has his Master's of Science in Media Management from the New School.
Yes. Welcome. Glad to be here, Alex.
Thank you. Okay, also we're joined by Natalie Lifson. Natalie is an agent trainee and executive assistant to a VP at Buchwald. There she works in comedy, unscripted, podcasts, branding, and on lectures, among other departments. She's also the co-editor-in-chief of The Hollywood Assistant, which we want to hear about, a newsletter designed to share information, support, and provide resources for entry-level entertainment professionals, probably something we all need to subscribe to. And she's also a freelance pitch deck builder and consultant who's worked on pitches for A-list celebrities, writers, directors, and other production companies across TV, film, music, and fashion. Welcome.
Okay. Thank you for having me.
Melissa Nyarko is a senior global brand manager at Live Nation Entertainment, where she crafts and curates headline-worthy opportunities for established and emerging brands. Her specialty lies in boosting exposure for some of the world's most influential brands, where she helps them by leveraging business strategy, engaging promotional programs, creating viral brand collaborations, and exclusive celebrity events around the world. Welcome. And then last but not least, Amarachi Uganabo is a creative social coordinator at Ralph, the social media agency based here in New York. Right? Mm-hmm. In that role, she's worked on social media campaigns and online marketing strategy for brands we all love, such as Netflix, Prime Video, Max, Amazon Music, and more. Ultimately, Amarachi loves to encourage bringing on new perspectives when it comes to creative storytelling in the media landscape. So welcome, round of applause for all of our panelists. Incredible companies represented. You're all multitaskers wearing multiple hats in your roles. I just read your bio, but I like to start these panels by having each of you sort of, in your own words, tell me your career trajectory. How did you get in the role that you have? I'll start with Melissa, because, well, nope, she's drinking water. I'm going to start with Natalie.
Hi. So I got into the business of entertainment from the perspective of being a creative. I got started in theater when I was very young, and I was a playwright. And I started by producing my own shows, and I realized that I liked producing more than I liked writing. And then I soon realized that I liked being even more behind the scenes. So then I went into the business of entertainment, and I was the assistant to a Broadway producer for a little bit. And then I decided I wanted to do TV, so here I am.
And what did you study in college?
I did media, culture, and communication at Steinhardt at NYU, and I minored in producing at Tisch and the business of entertainment at Stern.
Okay. Any NYU folks in the crowd? Couple of people. You got to ride home. Okay. We'll go to Amarachi. Same question.
Yeah. Well, I think I knew from early on in college I wanted to be in social media just based on seeing upperclassmen do what they do for the different companies like BET or MTV. And first it was like, you could be on Twitter and get paid for it. But then I realized there's a lot more that actually goes into that. And so, I did a lot of internships while I was in college and after college. And then my first big girl job was in PR, and then I realized I didn't like that, and I really got to get back into social media, and that's kind of how I ended up here, and I still love it, and I continue to love it.
How about you, Joseph?
Yeah, so I think my journey really started when I was a fresh grad student, just moved to New York. I really wanted to pursue career in the media industry. I think my original intention was to go in for producing, actually. So I took a lot of production heavy classes. I also produced a short film with a colleague. So I got a lot of that experience while also simultaneously taking a class in media sales that I think really opened the door for my interest in media sales. I had a wonderful professor who I think really I think he saw my potential, and I think he really was like, I think you'd be an excellent salesman, Joe. I think you should really like go for it. I like what you've done in the class, and you should just do it. And I really wanted to kind of go into that, avenue from there. As much as I liked producing, I just felt like what I liked about sales is I just like being able to like work with clients and kind of have that relationship, but also like really think outside of the box. So from there, I saw that the Center for Communication posted an opportunity for the Paramount Sales Associate program. I applied. I made sure I networked and I talked to the right people and made them aware that I was going for the program. So I feel like from there, I had the opportunity to interview, made it through all the rounds, and I joined the company February 2022. So now it's been about 2 years since my time at Paramount. So that's been my journey.
We'll come back to that because you pretty much had a direct line from the center to your job.
Yes.
That's awesome. Okay. Melissa, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready to go. Hi, everyone. Thanks, of course, for having me, having all of us on the panel. My career started at BET Networks. It was my 5th and final internship that ultimately turned into my first full-time job. So I was the communications coordinator within our corporate and publicity space. So while I was there, I ultimately became the junior publicist after 2 years. I ended up staying at BT for 4 years. But during that time, I led basically all of the publicity campaigns and communications efforts for the network. After my time at BET, I went on to lead a number of campaigns and communications efforts for companies and different agencies such as Tyler Perry Studios. I worked at Sunshine Sachs, where I worked on media relations and brand integration. Some A-list celebrities like Solange Knowles, still one of my favorite clients to this day. And I did take a career hiatus during the pandemic around 2021. I took a year off, went back to school. I earned a degree in music business from NYU. So that kind of really led me to kind of where I am now at Live Nation, where I do work on events still, but primarily I'm managing and executing some of our sponsorship programs. So, yeah.
Okay. It sounds like you all, were exposed to a variety of things, but eventually found something that felt like, okay, I'm going to sit here for a minute. Tell me, and I'll start with you, Joseph, because you started a little bit. What do you love the most about your current role?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that I just love doing on a day-to-day basis, like being in ad sales at Paramount, I just feel like the job really keeps me on my feet. I think, also the fact that we're in New York City as well, I think, everything's very fast-paced, but I feel like, as much as I'm used to the job that I've been doing now that I've been doing it for a while, I feel like there's always something new that comes up. But I feel like that's just the nature of the business and how digital ads work. I feel like we always get new products. The way that we target our consumers always constantly changes. And I feel like I'm just very lucky to be in that environment where I can thrive, try something new. And I'm also in an environment where I feel supported as well. A lot of my account managers that I work closely with are some of the people that I really respect so much because they're so knowledgeable in the business, and I'm hoping that that is also the next step for me. Once I'm able to move on to my next step, that would be the intention.
So important to have that so early in your career, right? Loving your coworkers in your first job, that's a win. Yes. Natalie, how about you?
I like making things happen. Same reason that I loved producing for so long. I like being told this is where you need to be, now figure out how to get there, without having it be really, really structured, which is also one of the reasons I like working in the alternative department. It's a lot different than talent, where you have a specific process and multiple steps that are exactly the same no matter what you're doing. I like figuring things out, and I like working with people that I like. and I got very lucky, and I really like the people that I work with.
How about you, Amarachi?
I would say my favorite part is interacting with different audiences online for the different shows I work on. Like just getting to see like what topics from that show or movie people are talking about. Like what is getting everybody, what's the topic of conversation? What's getting everybody so like riled up? And then based on that, then we would have to like, strategize. How do we interact with them and make it seem like we know why you're reacting this way to this moment in this show. And I'm a naturally chronically online person, so just getting to see other people who are always online and just loving what they do, like my coworkers do, and just seeing how we can all come together and figure out the best strategy to make a campaign work in the best way for whatever client it is. I think that's also like the best part of what I do.
Also sounds like a lot of fun.
Yes.
How about you, Melissa?
I definitely have a lot of fun. I love the fact that I'm able to work on something different every day. I mean, currently, right now, I have about 22 events kind of like in various stages of, we're either at contracts or planning phases or, building a content strategy around what we're going to kind of capture at the event. So I think I just really love the fact that I'm able to work on something different every single day, and continue to learn, which is always paramount to me. Yeah, that's definitely what I love most about my role now.
So let's go back to sort of between where you are now and your involvement with the center. Tell me a little bit more about the programs you came to, how you sort of made the most of your involvement in those events. I'll start with you, Natalie.
Well, I went to the Women in Media and the Diversity in Media summits. The people that I met there were incredibly helpful. So were the panels, but especially the people, because I think the most important part of working in this industry, it's not just who you know, but the kind of conversations you have with them and how you know them, and whether or not they share the same values as you and the same passions as you. And I think at Center for Communication, I met a lot of people who were like me, who were excited about the same things, who I got along really well with, who I kept in contact with. And that I first started going to Center for Communication events probably 3 years ago, I don't know. And I still keep in contact with a lot of people I met there. I think it's important to try to keep in contact with people because I know it's so easy to meet someone and get their social media or get their LinkedIn and then forget about them. But yeah.
Keeping those connections.
Yeah, keep those connections.
How about you, Joseph?
Yes. Sorry, can you actually repeat the question
Yeah,
again?
I know you spoke at the Stanton Awards, but before that, you were involved in other center events. So
Yes.
how did you make the most? Because we know that you were involved in a lot of things. How did you turn that into opportunities?
Yeah, I think for me, I had the chance to speak at the Stanton Awards, but also I got to attend the diversity summits, and I feel like both of those events have been very fruitful, especially during the height of the pandemic when a lot of our events were virtual. So the diversity summit was completely over Zoom. We were in breakout rooms where we got to meet some of our panelists, like this, but imagine us behind
More
our laptops.
intimate.
So I'm glad that we get to actually be here and like speak in front of you. But at the same time, I feel like the advantage of it being virtual is that I was able to like take down lots of notes, write down names, and then reach out over email or over LinkedIn right after. And I feel like a lot of those connections I've made have been very, very valuable for me in terms of like asking questions about what someone does for work and then kind of figuring out early on, okay, is this the avenue that I want to go into? Yes, no, maybe. Okay, ask another question or something like that. And I feel like being able to do that helped. And then for the Stanton Awards, being in a room of pretty much every executive in Hollywood that's like in that one space. So being able to kind of like make an impact and let everyone know, like, this is me. My name's Joseph Gonzalez. I'm early on in my career. I work at Paramount, and I'm here to honor Joanne Ross, but also tell a bit of my story and who I am. And I feel like being able to kind of showcase my brand to everyone in the room was just such a valuable experience. So I feel like what I've taken away from both experiences has been to just like, you just got to go for it. I think, you know, life is really short. Take that risk, talk, you know, just hope that you find that connection, and it'll take you very far, I feel.
And I think the people who come to the events, right, the executives from companies are pretty open to that, right? They wouldn't come to these events and participate if they didn't want to connect with you all. How about you, Melissa?
I would definitely say attending the Women in Media Summit was really, really notable for me. I connected with a number of women in the industry, which I was really hungry for at that time, just making those connections. That's really, really, you know, what you want to consider when entering the media industry. As was mentioned, you know, it's about networking. It's definitely about who you know, who's willing to, you know, kind of speak up for you and mention your name in a room as well. So attending events like this, not only attending, but also, you know, speaking up and networking and utilizing the opportunity. I recognized that very early on, and was able to kind of leverage my position of being in New York at the time to attend events like this. The on locations absolutely were my favorite thing because, again, it's about getting your foot in the door, and by attending an on location, you're literally in the room. So you don't want to like waste opportunities to do that, even if it's just like, could I be potentially interested in this? Sure, go. Like, actually be in the room and figure it out for yourself. Like, talk to the people who are doing it. That's really what's going to get you far in this industry. That kind of like relentless curiosity, I think really has paid off well. But notably, the Women in Media Summit, one particular on location at HBO, I ended up interviewing for an internship at HBO sometime after meeting folks in the room at the HBO offices. So yeah, I would definitely say Center for Communication was, you know, integral in my journey.
How about you, Marachi?
Yeah, Center was my very first internship that I'm still forever grateful to have, because I remember I was just internship searching for the longest time, and y'all took a chance on me. And I'm super duper grateful to this day, and I was one of the ones putting these things up, you know, and signing people in, and, you know, getting the panels ready. And I remember I would used to like ask like Kate, like, can I ask a question too, you know? And then I'm that little, because the worst she can say is no, but like all you can do is just like just try to get your foot in the door and just try to ask as much question and advice as you can. And like Melissa said, the on locations were definitely like my favorite part, just getting to see where the magic happens. And I remember going to Vice, RIP, but Vice, the Vice office, and like seeing where Jesus and Mara was filmed, and talking to or hearing the executives there talk to us and give us as much advice as they can. Like, that was really fun. And the people, the fellow students I met there too, I still am friends with to this day, which is like crazy to think about. But I also remember like the last virtual panel that I think you guys had was with the writers of Jesus and Mara when they were on Showtime. And that was when I was at my PR job that I didn't really like. And I had to ask, like, you know, I'm not really liking what I'm doing, but I feel like it's too early to leave. Like, what do I do? Yada, yada. And I think the head writer was like, you know, absorb as much information as you can, learn as much as you can, like, learn what you think you are going to take to where you want to be. It's potentially, exactly. So I took that advice and I stayed for as long as I could. And I learned as much as I could. I soaked up as much as I could until I realized, okay, I think it's enough and it's time to go. And I wouldn't have stuck it out as long as I have if I didn't heed that advice from that head writer, from the virtual panel, from Center. So like it all comes back to Center for me.
Back. But I love that point, right? Because it is about learning, and to the point Melissa made it, you might not want to work there, but getting your foot in the door, you might meet someone might see something in you that you don't see in yourself, or make another connection. So it's definitely worthwhile. So I imagine that folks in this room are here because they're interested in your path. So what advice do you have for someone trying to get in a role just like yours? I'll start with you, Melissa.
I would say number one is to build a strong resume. Networking is definitely great, but I would say your resume is like your ad almost. Like it's like your pitch, right? It's a lot of the times the first impression people that you're networking with will see of you. Even if you meet someone at a company that you want to work at, chances are they're not like the one making a hiring decision, or they might not be hiring for their team at that time. So having that, they might, have to pass you on to someone else, for example, like I like to do all the time. Happy to network with you, and if you're applying for a role on my particular team, like, yes, I would be part of your interview process. However, there's still a screening process that gets there before, and I can't I can influence it as much as just passing your resume on and like saying a nice thing about you, so having that kind of perfect resume or portfolio that really best captures your accomplishments and your readiness to do the role that you're looking into, I would say is like a really, really strong point that you should be paying attention to.
How about you, Joseph? Why were you selected?
As a sales associate at Paramount, yes. I think for me it was multiple factors. I paid attention to the center's newsletters whenever they were posting opportunities, so I highly advise you all to just be on the lookout, find something that might be up your alley, and you just gotta go for it. I think that's kind of how I landed my opportunity with the sales associate program at Paramount, and I just went through all of the interview processes. It was 3 rounds. I remembered it very vividly. And then when it came to the final round interview, I actually interviewed with some of my former bosses. So I used to work with them when I was working on cable, but now I'm digital. And I remembered when I did it, I came in with the intention of like, I fought so hard to be here. This is my place. This is my opportunity. I feel it like just everywhere. So I think I kind of went in strong, in a good way, of course.
Yes.
You don't want to come
Confident,
on too strong.
Yeah.
But like they want to see you. They want to see just like how, because at the end of the day, like they'll see so many interviews, and I feel like you want to stand out in a good way. You kind of want to make someone's day. I remembered, in the interview process, like I really wanted Paramount from the beginning, even when I was like 19 years old and I was like a college student. And I did have an internship opportunity, but I didn't get it. So I thought, how old was I when it was 2022? I was 25. So that was like about 6 years later. I thought, okay, I'm going to redeem myself. And I also made sure to make that very apparent of how like I've wanted this for a while, and they could tell. And I remembered when the interview ended, my boss was like telling me, wow, like you really made my day. Like, thank you. And I just feel like hearing that was just very, very satisfying, that I know that like even at the level that I was like interviewing, like I made an impact on someone's day. And I feel like that's always the intention that you want to have when you're like putting yourself out there.
As I'm hearing you talk, what it is passion. You went in there and you showed them that you were really passionate about that job for 6 years.
Exactly.
And that shows.
Passion and just not giving up.
Yeah.
Like they want to see that tenacity. They want to see that, you really, really want it bad, and that like failure just won't cause you to like run away. Yeah. Yes.
How about you, Natalie? Someone wants to be in a role like yours. What's your recommendation?
Well, get creative with it, because for every role, you could be the best applicant, and there could be 10 other people who are just as good as you, and you're going to have to stand out. I'll share a story. I was an intern at the Today Show many years ago, and when I first applied, I didn't even get their first virtual interview, but I really wanted it. So I tracked down the hiring manager's email, and I wrote her a letter about why I deserved an interview, and then I got it. And then for the job I have now, I reached out to the head of HR to explain why I wanted the job. I don't come from an entertainment industry family. I grew up knowing nobody in this industry. I just knew that I was really passionate about working in it, and I knew that I had to get creative to figure it out, because when everyone tells me it's about who you know, you have to know the right people, you have to have people help you, it's really overwhelming to be in that position and know, okay, if that's what I need to succeed and I don't have that, like, what do I do? So figure out a way around that, figure out who the people to talk to are, reach out to them. I know anytime anyone ever reaches out to me, I will always talk to them, because people want to help you. I remember being so scared to reach out to people in the industry who are in executive positions, and then I did it anyway, and the vast majority of people I reached out to responded to me and took the time to speak with me. And some people passed my resume along. Or I really wanted one specific internship, and they didn't have interns, so I reached out and I said, would you be willing to create an internship for me? And they did. Get creative with it.
For the 10 people who are just as qualified as you, 9 of them probably would have given up and not sought out the extra step of digging, so she is absolutely right.
Well, reaching out to someone is the thing that makes you stand out.
Yeah. How about you, Amarachi?
You repeat the question one last time.
Of course. Someone here wants to take your job. What's your best advice? Or work with you, not take your job.
Take it,
they want to be in your shoes and work with you.
I would say really gear your resume and your interview answers towards the position, because I only had one social media internship before I worked professionally in social media, and that gave me a lot of experience. But if I didn't have that, I knew I still had a very little social media experience. And at my other positions that were geared towards other things like publicity, PR, whatever it is, I remember in those positions I would be like, oh, can I help out with the social media of this event and this event and this event? And that way you're building up what's going to lead you to where you want to be. So I'll be like, oh, I made sure to capture content at the GMA summer concert to showcase how the PR department does their job. Like things like that. That's not a good wording, but like things like that, just put that on your resume. Just make sure it's really geared towards the position you want. And in terms of like interview answers, like, again, show your passion, show that you're not willing to give up or, be open to like anything else. But you should be open to other stuff. But if you really know that you really want to do a certain thing, you really gotta really be headstrong towards the interviewer and show like, this is what I want to do, this is how I'm gonna do it, and this is why you should take me.
A good way to show passion is to do your homework and to do research and really have that show through in your answers to the questions.
Yeah.
So we have about 10 minutes before we open to Q&A, so start to think about your questions. We're going to keep going, but the microphones will be on the sides momentarily, but we've got about 10 minutes left. So I wanted to shift gears a little bit with 3 final questions. Advice on personal branding, because that's sort of where you all are going. Any tips or recommendations for how you sort of maximize social media? I won't put our panelists on the spot, but one of them has a videographer accompanying them this evening. Any recommendations for really developing your personal brand? Because you all are in the field now. How do you maintain your personal brand? Who would like to start?
I'll start. this is just something you just have to be intentional with. I am a 90s baby, but I am totally an analog girl. Like, I'm really not into social media. Even though I've worked in publicity, like, it's not really my space. But I can, create a killer social media strategy and do it for, businesses and brands and my clients. However, I am being much more intentional about, making sure that my personal brand is also captured. And it really means a lot to me to inspire people, hence why I'm sitting on the panel, and just to help guide people through this industry, because honestly, it's tough. And I, similar to Natalie, didn't have anyone, in my family or acquainted with people who were in the industry. So I really just had to figure it out on my own. And organizations like this one, of course, were super, super helpful in, helping me find my path. So yeah, I would just say be intentional about kind of what you want that brand to be. For me, I want it to be more so about motivating and connecting with folks to help them in their careers. So that's why, I do have someone here with me today highlighting the experience. But be intentional about it and take those steps, whatever it is for you. Go with it and just do it.
How about you, Joseph?
Yeah, actually, I was gonna add on to that. I think when it comes to like personal branding and like how you present yourself to the world, this is more of like technical advice. I feel like what you say in the first 3 sentences of how you introduce yourself to someone will literally leave an impact for the rest of the interaction. So I feel like you want to think about, like, I guess like this is what I usually like to do on a personal level when it comes to like introducing myself. I like to like mentally think of like an outline of like point 1, point 2, point 3. I am this, I do this, I'm interested in this. And then you kind of want to have subpoints of like why or what's your story or any like anecdotes that relate to those 3 points. And I feel like having that really allows someone to like connect with you, because that way they'll eventually remember you as this, but the point is that you want someone to remember your name. So that way when you're past the being the guy that's interested in this, you become like Sid or Joe or whatever your name is, really. I can't think of anything. But like, yeah, essentially, yes. I think that's probably my biggest advice when it comes to personal branding.
Other thoughts? Anyone else?
Well, I keep my social media other than LinkedIn private, so I'm probably not the best person to talk to about social media, but I will say on LinkedIn, the ability to add people and when you request them, send a message, that is very useful. If you make your LinkedIn look really nice, your LinkedIn page look really nice, and then you reach out to people, and they click on your profile and that's what they see, remember that that's the only thing that they know about you. And I also think it's important to make sure that even though it's like your LinkedIn and it's professional, it's not boring, because at the end of the day, people are more than their jobs. When you hire someone, you want someone that you want to spend every day with. And when you see someone who just has like their places of work with no information about them, I think I like mentioned my dogs in my LinkedIn profile or something, and I've had so many people when I message them on LinkedIn ask for pictures of my dogs.
Her dogs are cute.
They're very cute. I think it's something like I pursue my dreams so I can give my dogs a good life. I don't remember exactly. But you know, it does something small to give yourself a little bit of personality while also showing that you're very professional and you have everything together. And I think social media is particularly useful for those one-on-one interactions. Like if you just post something into the universe and expect people to come to you and then get frustrated that you're not getting enough likes or comments on your posts. That's because you're not going out there and using it to reach out to other people. Or if you go on LinkedIn and you comment on everybody else's posts, like go through, and when people get new jobs, be the first person to congratulate them, be the first person to comment. Yeah.
I don't know if they rehearse this, but this is the perfect 4-step plan. Think really carefully about your brand and what you want it to be and how you want to present yourself to the world. Then be very specific about the messaging and how you word it, and be that tenacious about how you organize your introductions and how you approach people, because that first impression is absolutely what people remember. But also make human connections, right? You have your brand, you know what you're going to say, now go and connect with people on a human level. And although, Amarachi, you didn't volunteer to answer, be present, right? You're on social media. You are always on social media. She's great at it. And she makes sure that she's in the place to connect with people. So perfect 4-step plan represented by the people here. We're about to close, so I want to ask you all my last question that I like to ask panelists. What is the best career advice you've ever been given? I'll start with you, because you're nodding, so it must be good.
Yes, I was so happy because I thought of like the perfect one that just really means so much to me, which is always make sure you're having fun. Like, we're in the creative media space, you know, on the pulse of like pop culture. And, you know, at the end of the day, yes, our careers are very serious and you should absolutely take it seriously. But, you know, I come from a medical family. Like, everyone in my family, you know, works in a hospital or a nursing home, or, you know, does something like, you know, CPR and stuff. Like, we're not doing that at our job. So, you know, just make sure you're having fun. And, you know, if you are curious and you want to learn and you're in a place that supports that, I, you know, would say that you could be having fun in that space. And don't be afraid that when you're not, you leave. You know, I think the longest, I'm still early in my career, but the longest I've spent at a company, I think, is 4 years at BET. You know, I'm not afraid to take a break. You know, I did take a break during the pandemic, just to kind of step away. And then I realized, like, hey, I want to try out the marketing side. Like, and now I'm at Live Nation, you know, working in marketing, and having, again, a great time. So once you kind of like are no longer having fun or you're no longer learning, it's probably time to move on. So just make sure, especially as you're starting out, make sure it stays fun for you.
Great advice. How about you, Amarachi?
I say 2.
Quickly. Yeah.
Quickly. Okay.
Of course, yes.
First one for me is like always be a sponge and just soak up and absorb as much information, knowledge as you can, wherever you are right now, whether it's in school, whether it's a position you like or don't like. Absorb as much as you can. That will help, because all that information is going to help you get to the next step towards where you want to be. And once you get to where you want to be, keep learning, keep soaking it up and all that stuff. And the second thing, very quickly, I would say that niche thing that you think that, oh, not that many people know about it, I don't want to bring it up, that's going to be like your greatest asset in wherever you go. Like, I remember so many times I brought up something that I was the only one who knew about it, and my coworkers would go to me because I'm the K-pop expert, I'm the anime expert. So they were just like, let's ask Amarachi about this. Like, that's gonna take you so far and make you stand out from everybody else.
Great advice. Glad you said both. Thank you. How about you, Joseph?
Yeah, I think the biggest advice that I got was actually from my professor, Charlie Warner, who taught the media sales class. And I think my overall message to you all is that you just have to find the essence of what you like doing. Because I remembered he told me in our sales class that like sales is about helping people. It's about making sure that you're able to make people feel connected. And I feel like taking that advice has brought me very far into my career, because I feel like whenever I'm talking to, people I'm interviewing with, or just like about why sales or my interest in it, I always make sure to say that answer. And I feel like it is the truth. Like at the end of the day, like they want to know, regardless of the technical aspects of what you do, like, yeah, you may be good at this and you may be good at that, but like, what is it deep in your soul that like gets you awake every morning, and why this? And I feel like when you're able to like find whatever that answer is for you, make sure to say it, because I feel like it is important and your story deserves to be heard, and they want to get to know you as a person as well. So I feel like finding that answer, however long it may take, just find that soul searching moment. Maybe, I don't know, like sit by the water on a rock somewhere or
In daylight, of course.
in daylight, enjoy the sun, just like have that profound philosophical moment with yourself where you kind of have something that clicks. So that way, that'll kind of be your driving force for like the rest of your life.
That is great advice, because media is, as you said, it's always changing. We're always busy. So to really stop and think about, what do you love? Like, what is driving you in the work? What gives you joy? That is great advice. Natalie?
I'll give a few quick ones. When I first started college at NYU, one of my professors said, look around you. These are the people who are going to be executives in the entertainment industry later. And I've always kept that in mind. And they were right. Because now the people that I became friends with my freshman year of college are all working at different really important companies in the entertainment industry. So if I have a question about a specific company, I have somebody that I can reach out to, which I think is really important, because you want to have connections that are your friends, that like you as a human being. And then another piece of advice was from my dad when I was deciding what I wanted to do with my life, and I really wanted to go into entertainment. And he said to me, Natalie, do what you love and follow your dreams, but anybody who says that money doesn't matter is lying.
Wise man.
Yeah, because this industry, especially at the beginning, you make so little, and you have to be okay with that. And you have to be okay with maybe having 2 or 3 jobs at the same time. And you have to be practical. Like, if it's your dream to be a writer or an actor, have a plan B, or figure out how to incorporate that into what you study or are applying for. And then another really important piece of advice I got from Krista Parkinson, who does the Get Hired in Hollywood classes, is work at a talent agency for your first job, because you absorb everything. You learn about every single aspect of the entertainment industry. And at first, I had no interest in going into representation, but she said, no matter what you want to do, start at a talent agency. And I ended up actually really loving it, and here I am. But I did not always want to do this.
That is amazing. Thank you all. Quick round of applause. We're going to move to Q&A, so please make your way to the 2 microphones we have on either side. Quickly say your name and affiliation, your school, or if you are not a student, who you work for, and ask 1 question so that we can get as many of you in the conversation as possible. Go ahead.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Thank you so much for coming here today and speaking. My name is Matt, recently graduated marketing in Baruch College, actually a current event intern at Center for Communication.
Yay!
So, yeah, it feels good. And maybe one day I'll be there, you know, who knows?
Come on.
Yeah, my question is very simple. Just what was your each of your the biggest challenge that you faced, you know, on your road to your current position? I'd love to know the one single biggest challenge you faced. I know there's many that you face, but I'd love to know the one that really stood out to each one of you.
Who's got a challenge? Amarachi?
I'll go.
Yeah.
I would say we have similar backgrounds. Everyone in my family is in the medical field, so I didn't have like anyone to like lean on or ask for advice. So I had to make my own way. I had to learn on my own, all on my own, while networking across, with my classmates and such. But yeah, I would say that was the biggest thing, just having to figure it out without having someone's shoulder to cry on when I'm like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, and like they couldn't help me, so I had to rely on friends and colleagues. But yes, that was my biggest challenge.
Yeah, actually, I identify very strongly with Amarachi's answer. Like, mine was figuring out what it was, like where my space in the media industry was. Like, I knew I definitely didn't want to be in the medical field like everybody else in my family. I was always like doing something creative. It was fashion for me. I went to the Fashion Institute of Technology and graduated from there. But all of my internships were in fashion PR except for BT. And I just found it super, super important to get as much experience as possible, learn as much as I could, because like my goal was by the end of college, like I wanted to have a job. I didn't want to be out here with no job and college debt. But yeah, that was just like signing up again for organizations like this, like being in rooms like this one, taking internships. Luckily there are some laws now in place where I believe interns do have to get paid, but I went, 4 interns strong, like working my hardest, $0, so I did have a job on the side in order to pay my way. But again, soaking up as much knowledge as you can, would be most beneficial for you. But yeah, that was the challenge for me, just learning, what publicity even was. Like, how do you plan an event when you have a budget and have to work with clients and things of that nature? Just exposing yourself to that, super important.
I would say mine is that I'm a little shy, which is not great in a relationship business. And I think the solution for me and for anybody else who's shy or maybe a little bit awkward is step out of your comfort zone. If there's a big group of people talking and you feel like you're kind of on the outside, it's okay to force yourself to go in and talk to everybody. And if you are a little bit awkward, like I can be sometimes, it's okay to lean into that, because people are going to think it's endearing as long as you're not like trying too hard to seem cool. Like if you're not like really smooth, that's okay. Just don't pretend that you are.
Be authentic.
Yeah, be authentic. Be authentic and step out of your comfort zone. Like me being here right now is way out of my comfort zone, but here I am.
Yeah, and actually to end on all of that, I think my answer pretty much is an amalgamation of what the rest of the three have said. I think for me, the biggest challenge that I had was just getting over imposter syndrome. I don't know anyone like me that moved from LA to New York, is Filipino American, family of immigrants, that whole story. And it's scary because I feel like I had to enter into this industry. Yeah, I don't know anyone. I don't know anyone with my story. I don't really have colleagues that have a similar story to mine. So I feel like kind of being able to like still stay true to who I am, but also allowing people to kind of see me for who I am, I found was very, very valuable, because I feel like they were able to like, because at the end of the day, people want to connect. And I feel like when you allow people in and you find that space in yourself to like, make sure you take care of yourself, but also you just like allow people to see you, that it really allows you to kind of like reap the benefits of being in this industry and like thriving. Yeah.
For sure.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So our lines got longer, so I'm going to try to have maybe one or two answer the next question. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you for showing up. Really appreciate it. My name is Leah Rogers. I am a recent communications grad with a passion about building connection and looking to spread that to the world of entertainment. Currently, I'm a substitute teacher, but my question for you is: you mentioned like sponging and taking all the information that you get from one place and moving it to the other. What's one of the sponge moments that you had that you've applied to like new situations, new positions, based off your past experiences? Maybe they weren't directly related, but it still translated and helped you out in the long run.
I'm going to give that to Amarachi, who was our first sponge.
First sponge. I think when I was in PR, I didn't really like know the names of like well-known publications like that, like and like the umbrella tree that's like Condé Nast and everything that's under that. Like, but now I'm like, oh, Vogue, Cosmopolitan, GQ, that's all under that. So just like learning about that media literacy, I learned a lot from working in PR, and I was able to bring that to where I am now, so where I can figure out like, oh, this is the type of publication we want to, maybe get as a potential client, or, pitch ourselves to help maybe do the social media for. Just learning a lot of media literate terms was very, very helpful for me.
I would definitely say, those are transferable skills, like those skills that you gain in one space and carry to another. And so, as someone who transitioned careers from publicity, fashion PR, entertainment PR, kind of all types of, I worked at Sunshine Sacks, which is an agency. So I worked on all types of things: fitness, books, nonprofit, kind of learning your core. And then, of course, now working in marketing. So learning your core skills of whatever your path is, I would say is instrumental. So for me, as a comms major, the underlying space between all of that is communication strategy, learning how to like promote and kind of communicate with your audience in a smart way. So that carries through publicity, where you're communicating in the press and within the community, and then marketing when you're communicating in ads and digital media and things of that nature. So learning the core of whatever it is, that's when you're able to, prove that it is a transferable skill that you'll need in the next space.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Leah.
Thank you.
We'll go back here.
Hi, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yep, you can take a step closer to the mic. Yep.
Okay. Hi, my name is Olayinka Bishi. I'm a current senior at Seton Hall University. My major is public relations, and I have a minor in business law. I do have very strong interests in entertainment, and I could say I'm a creative myself. But my question was, as a creative, how do you get over like creative blocks? Because that is something that I often like run into, like when I'm trying to come up with new ideas or just trying to like find innovation in different ways. So how are you able to overcome that?
I'm going to ask Natalie, are you still
Yeah.
actively? Okay, go ahead.
Yes. So I would say, well, what creative things do you do? Are you a writer, filmmaker?
So I am a writer. I draw, and I am into film as well. I dabble into everything, honestly. Anything of the arts in general, I'm such a fan and geek for. But yeah, that's pretty much me.
All right, so then I would say give yourself not necessarily a prompt, but like very strict guidelines. Like if you give yourself like a very little box, then you have to think out of the box, because like with a regular prompt, you still have to come up with an entire story that's completely from scratch a little bit. But if you like, for example, when I was writing poetry and in high school and I was having writer's block, I got little letters, and I would throw like a handful of letters from a bag, and each line of the poem had to be with one of the letters. Like give yourself very specific guidelines, and then something will come. And once you get in the zone, transition to doing something from scratch or doing something that comes from the heart a little more.
Thank you.
Please try that tonight. Report back. That's great advice. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Sarah, and I'm a student at Fairfield University, studying marketing and communication. And my question is just, what is the biggest mistake that you see young people and recent grads making when trying to get involved in this industry?
That's a great question. Joseph, I'm going to throw that to you.
Yeah, that's a great question because I feel like I've also seen it from different perspectives, right? Because like I'm super early on in my career, but also I have been a manager before. I was actually a project manager with the new school after I graduated. I think the biggest thing just has to be being very mindful of just like social media and your career. I think you kind of have to make sure that that line sort of doesn't get crossed. I feel like I've definitely seen instances where people have been let go because they've accidentally shared information that's like on their computer screen related to work that's like supposed to be confidential. I think like just practicing good social media etiquette goes a long way because it is tied to your personal brand, and this industry is very much based on like your reputation. And at the end of the day, you want to go up. I feel like, I guess by doing that, you're just making sure that you set a good precedent for yourself so that way you have a good future. So just keep that in mind. Yeah.
Very important.
I actually have two quick ones.
Oh.
One I would say is trying too hard, as you guys mentioned earlier, and the other is giving up too early. So that could be kind of hard to balance, but what I want to stress is like, because I do make hiring decisions for my team at Live Nation. We recently last year hired a young lady, so going through the interview process with Live Nation for the first time was very interesting. And there were some really great candidates, but there were some who also weren't considerate of like our time. Like after, the interview, definitely follow up, definitely, make that impression, but don't write like a whole book. No one's gonna read all of that. There was one interview candidate where we ended up staying on the Zoom for like nearly an hour. And he was great, like great conversationalist. And we, chatted about a lot, but like 2 people from the Zoom like left. They were like, yeah, I have another call. And I was like, oh man, y'all gonna leave me on the Zoom. Don't leave me on the Zoom. But, it was just a lot. Like, don't try too hard. At the end of the day, the work will speak for itself. If you built that strong like foundation and strong resume and make a good impression, and then the other, like, definitely don't give up. Like if you, apply and you don't get a call back, apply again. Like in that case, you're not wasting anybody's time by sending your resume again and doing another application. Like, but that'll come up. Like BT, I applied twice. The first time I didn't hear back at all. Second time I applied, that was the only internship I applied to for my senior year, landed it, but sometimes it's about like, I did have another experience, that I added to my resume for application number 2. So sometimes it's not the right time. It's not a no, it's like a not yet, so.
I also have a quick one, which is, as a woman, don't be too modest, because if you are interviewing for a position and there's a guy who's also interviewing and you are equally qualified and he's like, I'm great at this, this, and this, and you're like, oh, well, I'm good at this, you could be better than him and they're still gonna see him as better. But on the other side, don't overcompensate and act like you're better than you are, or like you don't have things to learn, because when you are in a job or applying for an early entry-level job, you're there to learn, and they want people they can teach. So know where you are, and like be honest about it in an interview. And it's okay to say, I don't know this, but I'm excited to learn about it. And if you're really, really good at something, make sure they know you're really, really good at it.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, over here.
Hi. So it took me a lot of courage to even get up here.
Good. Congrats.
Hi.
Thank you for doing it.
So my name's Asma. I'm a senior at the City College of New York, so CUNY. I hope there's other people.
Woo, woo, woo.
Yeah. Like,
CUNY.
the imposter syndrome that you were talking about, I felt that in my bones. Like, I've been in positions where I didn't think I would be able to get there. And my question really was, what did you do when your educational or your background in general was very different from the job that you were trying to achieve? And how did you speak about your attributes, or like kind of like sell yourself as a person who doesn't like feel like they're supposed to be in that room? Because I've been in that position many times. Also, sorry, I'm a political science major with a minor in journalism.
Oh, wow. Okay, I think I could definitely speak to this because at our company at Paramount at the sales associate program, I have colleagues that did not do anything media or even sales related, and I think I might know one or two political science majors that are in the company. So it is completely doable. I think the one thing that you can like really take away from like me speaking to you is really that like at the end of the day, you can just learn your skills at the job. They just want to know that the passion is there, that you're open-minded, and that you're curious, and that you're a genuinely interesting person. And I feel like as long as you're able to like sell that, and they believe it, it's gonna really like bring you places. I feel so. I think you just kind of have to remember your personal brand. Just like remember those like 3 pointers about yourself that you want people to remember about you, so that way they will. Speaking to imposter syndrome a bit more, I feel like as daunting as it is to kind of be in environments where you are given an opportunity to like have that one shot, you just gotta like go for it. I watch a lot of RuPaul's Drag Race, and that's something that I kept saying a lot in my job interviews actually at Paramount. Really, the one thing that I've learned from the show is that like these queens come from different places around the US, are given this platform on national TV to like say their story and just go for it. And that's what Rue and Michelle and the other judges want to see. And I think kind of being in that frame of mindset has kind of like helped me in every specific situation that I've been in. Even this one right now, where you know, you're given this one shot, life is so short, you just gotta like go for it. And I think when people see that tenacity and that joy, and you can like make people feel like you've made their day just a bit better, and you can do that, that it'll just like work out in some strange way. So I've definitely been in your shoes and I relate, and you know, just know that you're not genuinely not alone. And if you are interested in the sales associate program, please apply.
I applied. I got rejected twice.
There you go.
Please do it again. Like
I'll
we
keep
need
doing
you.
that until I get there.
Yes.
One thing I want to add to that as well is you kind of have to operate with the delusion that everybody wants you to win. Like when you live that way, like the imposter syndrome kind of like isn't a factor, because you're like, I don't care who you are. Like, I'm a winner and you think so too. I had the, you know, fortunate entry into the corporate space by starting at BT, where, you know, there were people that looked like me at the table. But again, I mentioned that was my 5th internship. Like I had been doing things, working other companies where I was the only one, like since high school. So, you know, kind of having that like real foundation, like once I got to BET, of like, oh, okay, like I can do this. Again, going to events like this, diversity in media summit, like where people on the panel look diverse, just like this one does, you know? So I was able to kind of see myself. And once you do see even just that one person who has a similar background, it doesn't have to be only cultural. It could be like, again, anime lovers or some form of connection. And you're able to see that in kind of the spaces that you want to be, you can then, like, it's so much easier to, like, just live in that delusional world of, like, everyone loves me and thinks I'm a winner. And, you know, kind of just boost your confidence in that way. So that's what's going to get you through in this space. You have to speak up for you. Yeah.
Nobody wants you to fail. That's the biggest thing. No one
Yeah,
wants you to
if
fail.
you're working on a team, like, you know, you don't want any losers on your team.
Yeah.
Well, just to the point you were making about hiring, they want to fill the job. So
Right.
why not you?
Right.
I walk into every interview with that attitude. They want to give me this job. make it easy for them.
Thank you guys so much.
You're
You're
welcome.
welcome.
Your turn.
Hi, my name is Naya. Good evening. Yeah, it's
Hi,
like
Naya.
kind of late. Hi, thank you guys so much for talking to us. I graduated from Hunter 2 years ago, and it took me like forever to like really figure out what I want to do, and I realized that I want to go back to get my master's. So that's also very fun.
Yes.
I guess my question or statement is, how do you get past the frustration? Because right now I'm frustrated where it's like, dang it, I'm not getting anything, or
It's a tough
I
market.
don't got the
Yes.
credentials. So it's like,
yeah.
how do you get past the initial frustrations like before you enter the media world? Because it's very hard. Because when you do something or just like, hey, I just graduated with my bachelor's, they're like, oh, nope, that's not enough. So how do you get past the frustrations? 'Cause
I'll
that's
give-
the current state I'm in now.
I'll give that to Amarachi because you mentioned a little bit about your search and really trying to force your way in a bit.
Yeah, when I graduated, I was so focused, like, okay, I'm gonna work in social media. That's gonna be the first thing I'm gonna do. No, that's not the first thing. I was an intern for a really long time, even post grad, which I highly recommend. Post grad internships are. I know.
They were like, no, you graduated. Sorry, we don't want you.
They're very small and in between, but they are there. They exist. Trust me, they do exist. And I was advised by my sister, like, because I was so focused on social media, to like just open up that window just a little bit. Like, okay, like if it's not social media, what's in that same tree, that same umbrella? I was like, publicity, PR, production. I'm like, sure, why not? I'm gonna apply. And then I applied to a publicity assistant job, which was my first like job out of school. And while I did not like it and I wanted to get out of there, I still like learned a lot about like the media space and the media industry, and it definitely like helped me get to where I was now, because I knew I shouldn't have been there as long as I should have been. Like, I knew I had to get out before it was too late, and as soon as I did, and as soon as I realized I did, that's when I started searching again for like social media jobs and gearing my resume, like I said before, gearing my resume to like what I wanted, what the role I wanted, and one thing led to another, and that led me to where I was. And the place I was, the PR industry, the PR company I was at, was an agency. And after that, I was like, no more agencies. I can't do agencies anymore. I can't stand them. I'm at an agency now because I saw like what they did. Like, oh, they work in TV, and I'm like, fine, I'll give it just one more try. And I end up loving what I do and where I am right now. So I think just being open, just really open up that window. Like, you may think like you're gonna hate it, but you're gonna get something, just to have something on that resume to show the next person, like, this is what I did here, and this is how I'm going to bring it to what I'm going to do for you.
Thank you.
I have an answer to that too. I was unemployed for 6 months before I got my job. I graduated in December 2021, not a great time in the entertainment industry. And what was really advice that I got was never leave a gap on your resume in the entertainment industry, and it's okay to do little things as favors to people and put it on your resume. Like, if you have friends who are doing student films and you say once a week, like, I'll be on set as a free PA, then you can put freelance PA on your resume. And then do things for people as favors. Like, something that I did was script coverage. I reached out to my professors, or even cold reached out to people on LinkedIn, and I said, hey, I'm unemployed. Like, do you need someone to do free script coverage? And if I do, can I put script reader for you on my resume? And would you be willing to write me a recommendation? So I did that for about 6 or 7 different people, and they ended up being so grateful for the help, especially because everyone was understaffed at that time. And then they liked me because to them, I was doing them a favor, and I was doing a great job at it. And so then I got a connection of someone who knew I worked hard and knew my work was good, which then helped me get jobs in the future, because I do freelance deck building now. And a significant amount of the people that I make decks for who reach out to me are people that I did script coverage for way back when, because they think of me when they think, what odd job do I need done?
It's very bold. I like that. Thank you.
You're welcome. freelancing, side hustles, project work. You can create the experience while you look for the role. Thank you for waiting patiently. Our last question of the evening.
Hi, my name is Gabriela Centeno. So I've done a few internships in the entertainment industry, but now my goal is to enter the music industry. If I wanted to do that and enter internships in that world, what would be the things that I would need to know? Just like at its core, because I'm a media studies student, so it's more so television, screenwriting, and film. But music is something that's always been there that I really want to tackle. It's very new and kind of scary, but I'm ready.
What space in the music industry?
You know, there's a lot of different spaces, so it's really so new to me. I think something that has been calling my name is A&R, and also just touring and being a part of that like live space.
I'll let you answer, Melissa.
Definitely building as much experience in that space as you can. Having a strong understanding of the music business, I feel like is very valuable. Before I started at Live Nation, as I mentioned, I did represent musicians on the publicity side, but learning about the business side, writing contracts, how, offers work, how you even they do call it in the industry purchasing talent, like how you buy talent. That was something that I had to really educate myself on. I ultimately did get a postgraduate certificate in music business to understand how it all came together. So again, that curiosity, that hunger for learning is always going to kind of set you apart from others. Like, yes, I had the practical experience, but I also wanted to get the education as well. So I would definitely say that is a huge priority. But yeah, other than the educational side, it's about getting that experience. So seeing if you can volunteer or intern within a record label, or even recording studios, they often need, help. Like, you can go volunteer in one of the many recording studios we have in New York City. Like, use your resources too of your community as well. If someone is planning an event, even a church event, volunteer to kind of help the, maybe select the music, or work with the music side of that. Just soaking up as much knowledge as possible to set you apart.
Thank you, Melissa.
Also, NYU Steinhardt's music business program, something a lot of people don't know is you don't have to be a student there to take classes there. You could be a visiting student. I was a visiting student before I fully transferred to NYU. I took classes in music business. My music business classes, even though I don't work in music, so helpful. I cannot recommend enough. Just take 1 or 2 classes there.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, our last 2 questions. We have time for 2 more. Please keep it very quick. Go ahead.
Okay. Am I audible? Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm Sayukta. I'm from the new school as well, media studies program. Yeah. So, and thank you for the talk. It's so inspiring. So my question is, how do you approach people and how do you stay connected to them? How do you build the connection? And how do you keep in touch? That's my main question.
I have a really good answer for this one.
Take it, Natalie.
Throw parties if you can, even if it's at your friend's apartment. No, I'm so serious. I'm terrible at keeping in touch with people. I really like people, but it's just so hard to stay friendly with 40 people at the same time, especially once you've already graduated college and you're not in class with people every day. So throw 1 or 2 parties a year, even if you say this is a party just for people in the industry. Everybody in the industry is going to want to go and meet other people in the industry, especially if it's not a formal networking event. If you say, this is just a chill party for people who are friends who happen to be in the entertainment industry, come hang out, be yourself, and just know the people around you are in the industry. And then if you are the one throwing these parties, they're going to remember you. You don't have to remember every single person. Like when you think of someone for an opportunity, or when there's an opportunity, you don't have to remember like 40, 60 people like who would be good for this, but they're gonna remember you.
It's very efficient. Get them all in one place.
It's very efficient.
Yes.
I definitely feel like with networking, it's like this is where being intentional comes into play too. Like if you just identify, okay, I know I want to work in the music space. I know I'm kind of like interested in A&R. Okay, at this networking event, there are going to be people that work at a record label or I saw this person on the panel and they work at Columbia Records. Like, then maybe identify that one or those two people that you'd like to, make a connection with, because then your networking is very strategic.
Great advice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now our real last question. Thank you for waiting. You switched sides.
I did. My name is Mary. I'm one of the fellows with the center. And as great as my fellowship has been, it's definitely going to end. And I'm super interested in working for Paramount. So my question is for Joseph. You mentioned that you just went into the interview wanting to make the interviewer's day a little better. I was wondering if you could maybe elaborate on some of the tips on how I could potentially do that.
Yeah, I guess it all boils down to just impact. I feel like there's a weird philosophical science behind it about connection, right? And I think that's what a lot of these interviews are, as arduous and as technical as they are. I think you kind of want to come into it thinking, okay, I have my story to tell, but also the person that I'm with also has a story to tell. And I feel like when you're able to kind of acknowledge that and kind of create an environment where you are able to open yourself up and also receive the person as well, that there's just some beauty that goes behind it that allows people to just remember you a lot more. Yeah, I feel like there are definitely times where when the questions stop being asked and it's just more where you're volleying off each other, I feel like that is a good sign in my mind that the interview is going really, really well. Yeah, so I feel like the one thing that I've learned over time, and I feel like this also has helped my personal life as well, is just always be curious. Think of questions you can ask in case there are those like weird blocks. You want to show that you are open-minded. I feel like giving people that impression of yourself really, helps you. I feel like whatever industry you really go into. So just be able to ask questions. I think the one thing that is always a default for me whenever I don't know what question to ask has always been why did you pick this role? Or why, what do you see, how do you see yourself in 5 years or something like that? Asking something about themselves, and I feel like when you hear their story, there's going to be little pinpoints from there where you can kind of say how you relate to something, or you kind of want someone to elaborate more. Yeah, I hope I answered your question.
You did. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank all of you. Big round of applause for our panelists. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you for the great questions. QR codes, sign up for events. Please come back, network with each other, and have a wonderful evening.